Hello, good afternoon. The sun isn't shining, the sky is black, and the end is here. And I want to hear what you have to say about it. I'm your host, Jack Deasy, and this is Endwatch. Hello all, and welcome once again to Endwatch, your first stop programme to hear the local stories from the end of the world as we know it. Whether you're holed up in a bunker or wandering the wastes, we want to hear from you and the local stories that make up the so-called coming of the horsemen. The local tales that the mainstream media doesn't cover, or at least they wouldn't if they still existed. Now, I know a lot of you are texting in at the moment. Jack, whatever happened to the usual Parish Watch programme you used to do? What was wrong with that? Well, the world has changed a bit in the last few months, if you hadn't noticed. Protesters are rioting in cities across the globe. A deadly virus is ripping through a wall of people to get its filthy hands on the economy. And, as you ought to know by now, the gates of hell were opened and its bowels were spilled across the skin of the earth. Now, suffice to say, and I hope I'm not being too glib here, we're in a bit of a pickle. But here on Endwatch, we're optimistic. We were smiling through the wildfires, we were smiling through the mass protests, we were smiling through the pandemic, and we're still smiling now, even as a thundering storm of evil lets loose upon our mortal souls. Life still goes on. You've still got to go to the shop, you've still got to go to mass, and you've still got to go and get your NCT. If you can find any of those things anyway. Now, you can call or text us on 1850 66 66 66, or you can drop us an email at endwatch@404.error. We're going to be chatting to some of you lovely listeners in just a few minutes, but first, let's get the main news items to kick us off. First up, it's politics, and you'll have to forgive me, I'm reading off my little sheet here. You'll never guess what the President of America has said now. Well, the Commander-in-Chief, better known as the Orange President, recently made the outrageous claim at a Rose Garden press conference that, and I quote, "We will build a wall made from whatever pieces of corrugated scrap we can find so as to better protect the last remaining American citizens from the wrathful hordes of irradiated fauna that currently eat our citizens without restraint." Impatiently clicking his mandibles, the president was then escorted by Secret Service peoploids to resume hibernation within the sticky underbelly of the White Hive. The Emperor truly does have no exoskeleton, is all I'll say about that. And they scoffed when I said that Donald Trump was not the worst we could get. Yeah, well, he who scoffs first, scoffs incorrectly. Anyway, closer to home, Eamon Ryan of the Green Party has entered into formal coalition talks with the Sentient Cloud, having recently walked back his previous no-tolerance election promise. Mr. Ryan spoke to reporters via astral projection from within the nebulous bowels of the cloud and justified the controversial move by stating that melding with the consciousness of the cloud is a vital concession towards ensuring the preservation of Ireland's last remaining tree. This has not soothed the discomfort of younger Green members, however, particularly in light of their previous ill-fated coalition with the child-eating goblin monster. But Mr. Ryan continues to assure them this will not be a repeat of the situation with Mr. Martin. And finally, the coronavirus has once again mutated into an even more deadly form than before. Discovery of the new strain of the virus was announced by enslaved researchers in the Badlands of the former MIT University campus, who, after exhaustive testing, found that symptoms of the virus have grown to include itching inside the body, pus-filled boils developing on the underside of the eyeballs, and implosive dysentery. Speaking from one end of a spike-covered leash, Dr. Jerome Martin told reporters gathered outside the fortified raider enclosure that the virus, quote, surely won't get any worse than this. We'll keep you updated in future bulletins, although might I remind you all that this is far from the first mutation of COVID-19, the 19 in its name now signifying more than just the year in which it was identified. Masks and sanitizer. People, I cannot stress that enough. At the very least, it'll conceal from onlookers the rotted holes where your cheeks used to be before mutation 14. So ends current affairs, figuratively if not literally, although who knows. We're going to hear from some of you now out in the world. There's one particular issue that a lot of people have been phoning in about. So we've got Eamon from Stony Batter on the line with us to voice his concerns. Hello, Eamon.
How are you, Jack?
Good to hear from you, Eamon. You're in Stony Batter, is that correct?
That's right, Jack.
Are you north or south of the crater, Eamon?
I'm north of the crater, yeah.
Right, so the radiation isn't too bad where you are, so...
The radiation's grand, yeah.
Now, you have an issue you want to talk to us about. What's that, Eamon?
Well, Jack, I've been looking out me shattered window the last couple of days, and I have to say that some of the things the young ones are wearing today is honestly disgraceful, Jack.
Right, what would they be wearing, Eamon?
Right, like, the other day, I saw a young girl limping past. She must have been about 19, 20, and all she was wearing was like, I can only describe it as like a leather corset, Jack. A tiny beaten up leather corset and a few strands and rags or whatever. And you could see everything, Jack. I mean, before the end times, you'd have young ones going out in their high heels and their mini skirts and, you know, grand, whatever. But this is something new altogether, and it's too far, Jack. I mean, what if there were kids that survived to see it, you know?
Okay, now Eamon, some would say that maybe they're wearing that sort of thing because they can't get any other kinds of clothes. I mean, was it just her wearing the leather rags, Eamon, or were there others with her as well?
There were a few others with her, Jack, yeah. There was an old fella and like a middle-aged woman there as well. And look, yeah, they were half naked as well, but like that's no excuse. Like, I get the clothes have been hard to come by since the meteor hit, but you know, in World War II there was a shortage of fabrics as well, but you didn't see nurses working on the front line in a bikini. Do you know what I mean? Just a bit of cop on is all I'm saying, Jack.
Okay, fair point, Eamon. Stay on the line, would you? Now, we've got Mary from East Wall on with us as well. Hello, Mary.
Hi, Jack.
Now, you say you saw some young women in a similar state of undress. Is that right, Mary?
That's right, Jack, I did.
And where did you see them, Mary?
On the riverbed, Jack. On the dry bed of the Liffey.
And what were they doing, Mary? Were they digging for water? Were they being rounded up by the cloud marshals? What was it?
They were digging, Jack, yeah. Digging for water.
And what were they wearing, Mary?
Nothing, Jack. Nothing at all. They were naked. One of them was wearing an old t-shirt, a ripped old t-shirt that was fused to her skin, but nothing else.
Was it a branded t-shirt, Mary?
It was, Jack. It was a Nike t-shirt.
And how did that make you feel, Mary? Tell us about it.
It was awful, Jack. It really was. I was looking at these young girls and I felt sick. And not in the usual way that the sulphur in the air makes you feel sick. And I have to say, Jack, it was frankly pornographic. There'd be porno films, wouldn't have that kind of nudity in them. I really mean it, Jack.
And you wouldn't be sympathetic at all to the fact that maybe they can't scavenge any clothes or find any water or anything like that?
No, I wouldn't, Jack. There are loads of people don't have water, Jack, but they can still find time to put on some trousers or a coat. My husband was executed last week, Jack, but you don't see me getting my bits out. It's just common decency, Jack.
Okay, Mary, stay on the line there, would you? Because we're going to hear now from Síobhán, who is currently researching women's studies in the Trinity Catacombs. Hello there, Síobhán.
Hi, Jack. Good to be here.
And now you have a different opinion to what Eamon and Mary were telling us, is that right?
I do, Jack, yes.
Can you tell us a bit about that?
Absolutely, Jack. I was listening to what Eamon and Mary were saying, and I just think it's absolutely ridiculous that we're still policing women on what they wear in this day and age. I mean, it's 2021, Jack, and some of these comments you'd swear were being said in 1921. Women should be free to wear whatever they want without judgment, whether that be a nun's habit or a leather cape or whatever.
I suppose, Síobhán, the issue here is that they're not wearing anything at all. They're totally naked, is what Mary was saying.
Well, that shouldn't matter either, Jack. Are we seriously still so afraid of the female body that we have to shame them on the radio like this? Frankly, there are more important things to worry about than whatever skimpy leather women are wearing. I mean, conduct is gone. There are still refugees wandering in from the Midlands, and most of them are brain damaged for life. And we're here, clutching our rosaries about some naked women. I had to help defend Trinity from another wave of battle crabs this morning, Jack.
Okay.
10 more students pinched her to death,
Okay.
Jack.
Okay, Siobhán.
Think about that, Jack.
Yeah, we're going to...
Oh God.
Siobhán?
Oh God, they're back for another attack. Crab alert! Battle stations! Everyone!
Siobhán?
I have to go, Jack. They've breached the old library. Suppressive fire! Aim for the leg!
Okay, thank you, Siobhán. We're going to leave it there for now. Eamon, Mary, thanks for talking to us.
All right, Jack, yeah.
Slappers, Jack. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, some heated opinions there on the naked women. We're going to take a quick commercial break now. Be sure to keep texting in, and we'll see you all in a few minutes. Talk to Jack on 1850 66 66 66. That's 1850 666.
How's it going, lads? Are you sitting on your hands while everyone else is out there getting kills? Were you looking at Ted Bundy and thinking, how do I get in on this mad crack? Then what you need is the Flaker from the Cadaver Factory. It's the newest in our locally sourced line of self-defense evisceration racks. Think of it as a man-sized cheese grater for your enemies. Just load it up with some lad and flake away, boy. Overflow tanks sold separately. Shop in-store at our West Cork warehouse or order direct from one of our merchant caravans. The Cadaver Factory, while stocks and bodies last.
Has your car been rendered immobile by an electromagnetic pulse? Has your chassis been stolen and used to build an armoured death carriage? Then you could be entitled to compensation. Here at Melee Insurance, we make sure that you have the best fighting chance to get the coverage you deserve. That's why our representatives will be happy to fight for you in the gladiator pits and win back your car from any one of the local warlords. Consultation is free, and packages start from just 5 bintles of corn. Melee Insurance. Coverage you would kill for. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome back to Endwatch. I'm your host, Halloween Jack Deasy. We've got a couple of texts in from people with regards to the discussion we had before the break about the brevity of certain women's attire in a post-reckoning Ireland. Owen in Louth says, Jack, it's gotten absolutely ridiculous. You can't say anything about women these days. You tell a girl she's pretty now, and these SJW tyrants will go ahead and cancel you on the spot. If they had their way, we'd all be lesbians, and with child populations as low as they are, it's a disgrace that no one has put them in jail. Strong words there from Owen in Louth. We'll have to do a check on that SJW acronym there, but I'm fairly certain he's talking about St John's Well-Wishers in Balbriggan. I know they've been doing some great work providing care and support to those worst affected by the second wave of stellar debris, so I'm not quite sure what issue he has with them exactly. Now, moving on, one thing that's really been getting at me in the last while, and it's something I've wanted to bring up for some time, is this whole idea of entitlement in the younger generation. The millennial generation, I suppose they're calling it now. Though I have heard a few references to a so-called Generation Z. Whatever they're called, this younger generation, I have to say that there really is an enormous sense of entitlement that they have. And it's really getting my goat now, I have to say. You know, you hear people, younger people like Síobhán, who we had on earlier, constantly complaining and saying things like, oh, I can't get a job. I can't buy a house. 4 billion people have been wiped out in the last 2 months. And the fact of the matter is that we had to deal with all the same kinds of problems when we were younger. But we gritted our teeth and we got on with it. We appreciated our job, we appreciated our house, and we appreciated most of the world still being alive because we went out and we worked hard for them. Young people today have got smartphones, they've got computer games, and yet They moan and moan about the smallest bit of flesh-eating gas that comes in the night. They're spoiled. Button up, I say. We lived through a recession in the 1980s, and back then there were no iPhones to keep you entertained. You just had to curl the wire of the landline around your finger all day. So what if the entire nuclear arsenal was detonated? We came damn close back in the 80s. Stanislav Petrov, the Russian soldier. Read about him and then tell me what real bravery looks like. Now, I didn't get to become one of Ireland's last remaining radio presenters by just sitting around. I worked for it. I was the first one in the bunker, and when all the chancers were banging on the door to let them in, I told them to get off their keisters and get their own bunker. I'm sorry now to be going on a bit of a rant, but I just really do worry about the... I really do worry about the state of our young people. What's that? Cassandra's waving at me there. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Yeah, thanks, Cassandra. That's the gas attack siren there, folks. We've got a flesh-eating cloud coming our way. We'll have to leave it there for now. But join us next show for a discussion about mass attendance in rural areas and whether it's worth fighting through the radar blockade to pay a visit to the Burren. Yeah, coming, Cassandra. I'm Jack Deasy, and from all of us here at Endwatch, stay safe out there. Masks on, people! Where's my mask, Cassandra?